It was a quiet night at the Edgewood military base, nestled deep in the Rocky Mountains. Captain Sarah Mitchell stood at the edge of the watchtower, scanning the horizon through her binoculars. The stars twinkled brightly above, casting a serene glow over the rugged landscape. But Sarah's mind was far from serene. She had an unsettling feeling in her gut, one that had been gnawing at her for weeks. Ever since the strange signals had been detected coming from deep space, the base had been on high alert. The signals were unlike anything they had ever encountered, a complex series of pulses and frequencies that defied explanation. Scientists around the world were baffled, and the military had quickly taken control of the situation, fearing the unknown. Sarah lowered her binoculars and sighed. She had seen enough strange things in her career to trust her instincts, and right now, her instincts were screaming that something big was about to happen. She glanced at her watch. It was just past midnight, and the base was eerily quiet, save for the occasional murmur of voices over the radio. "Captain Mitchell, come in!" A voice crackled through her earpiece. Sarah pressed the button on her radio. "This is Mitchell. Go ahead." "Captain, we've got something on the radar. You might want to take a look." Her heart skipped a beat. "I'm on my way." She descended the watchtower swiftly and made her way to the command center, a sturdy concrete building bristling with antennas and satellite dishes. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Technicians and officers were huddled around monitors, their faces illuminated by the glow of the screens. "What do we have?" Sarah asked as she approached Lieutenant Carter, the radar operator. Carter pointed to the screen. "We've got an unidentified object moving at high speed, coming from the northwest. It's not responding to any of our signals." Sarah frowned, leaning in to get a better look. The object was indeed moving fast, cutting through the sky like a bullet. "How long until it's in visual range?" "About 10 minutes at this speed," Carter replied. "Alert the air patrols and get the anti-aircraft defenses ready," Sarah ordered. "I want eyes on that object as soon as possible." The base sprang into action, soldiers scrambling to their positions. Sarah watched the radar intently, her mind racing. Whatever this was, it wasn't a meteor or a satellite. It was something else, something they hadn't seen before. 10 minutes later, the object was close enough to be seen with the naked eye. Sarah stepped outside, raising her binoculars to the sky. She spotted it almost immediately, a bright, glowing orb hurtling through the atmosphere, leaving a trail of light in its wake. "What the hell is that?" she muttered to herself. The object slowed as it approached the base, descending rapidly. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she watched it land with a gentle thud in a clearing just beyond the perimeter fence. The glow began to fade, revealing a sleek, metallic craft unlike anything she had ever seen. "Captain, we've got a visual on the object," a voice reported over the radio. "I see it," Sarah replied. "Hold your positions and wait for my command." She took a deep breath and made her way toward the landing site, accompanied by a squad of heavily armed soldiers. They approached cautiously, their weapons trained on the craft. As they got closer, Sarah could see strange symbols etched into the hull, glowing faintly in the darkness. "Captain, look!" one of the soldiers exclaimed, pointing to a hatch on the side of the craft. It was opening. Sarah's grip tightened on her rifle as the hatch slowly opened, revealing a ramp that extended to the ground. A figure emerged, stepping into the light. It was tall and slender, with shimmering blue skin and large almond-shaped eyes. The alien wore a sleek, form-fitting suit that seemed to be made of some sort of advanced material. The soldiers tensed, ready to fire at a moment's notice. But the alien raised its hands, a gesture that seemed to indicate it meant no harm. It spoke in a strange, melodic language, the words flowing like water. Sarah took a step forward, lowering her rifle slightly. "I am Captain Sarah Mitchell of the United States Air Force. Do you understand me?" The alien tilted its head, its eyes studying her intently. Then, to Sarah's amazement, it spoke in perfect English. "Greetings, Captain Mitchell. I am Zorak of the Zoralian people. We come in peace." Sarah exchanged a glance with her soldiers, her mind racing. "Why have you come here, Zorak?" Zorak gestured to the sky. We have been observing your planet for many years. Recently, we detected a threat approaching from deep space, a hostile species known as the Krill. They seek to conquer and destroy. We came to warn you and to offer our assistance. Sarah's heart sank. A new threat, one they had no way of preparing for. How do we know you're telling the truth? Zorak's expression was solemn. You have no reason to trust us, but I assure you the Krill are real. They are ruthless and powerful. We have fought them before and barely survived. Your planet is in grave danger. Sarah took a deep breath, weighing her options. Trusting Zorak could be a huge gamble, but if what he said was true, they couldn't afford to ignore the warning. All right, Zorak, she said finally. We'll take you to our leaders, but know this. If you're lying or if this is some kind of trick, we will defend ourselves with everything we have. Zorak nodded. I understand, Captain Mitchell. I only hope it won't come to that. As they escorted Zorak back to the base, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were about to change forever. The arrival of the Zoralians marked the beginning of a new chapter in human history, one filled with uncertainty and danger. But it also brought the promise of new alliances and the hope of survival against an unimaginable threat. In the days that followed, Zorak and his crew were introduced to the highest-ranking officials in the military and government. Meetings were held in secure, undisclosed locations, away from the prying eyes of the public. The Zoralians shared their knowledge of the Krill, providing detailed information about their tactics, technology, and weaknesses. It was a lot to take in. The Krill were a formidable foe, with advanced weaponry and a relentless drive to conquer. They had already devastated several planets in their quest for domination, leaving destruction and despair in their wake. Earth was next on their list, and time was running out. The Zoralians offered to help humanity prepare for the coming invasion. They shared their technology, training the military in new tactics and strategies. They also provided advanced weaponry, including powerful energy rifles and sophisticated defense systems. It was a race against the clock to get everything in place before the Krill arrived. Sarah found herself at the center of the preparations, working closely with Zorak and his team. Despite the initial mistrust, she grew to respect and even admire the Zoralians. They were intelligent, resourceful, and determined to help Earth in any way they could. One evening, as they were reviewing battle plans in the command center, Zorak turned to Sarah. Captain Mitchell, I must commend you and your people. You have shown great resilience and determination in the face of this threat. Sarah smiled faintly. We don't have much of a choice, Zorak. It's fight or die. Zorak's expression was serious. Indeed, but I believe you have the strength and courage to prevail. We will stand by you in this fight. Sarah nodded, feeling a renewed sense of determination. Thank you, Zorak. We'll do whatever it takes to protect our planet. As the days turned into weeks, the tension mounted. The Krill were drawing closer, their arrival imminent. The military was on high alert, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Civilians were evacuated from major cities, and bunkers were prepared to shelter the population during the attack. Finally, the day came. The Krill fleet appeared on the radar, a massive armada of warships descending upon Earth. The skies darkened as the ships blotted out the sun, casting an eerie shadow over the land. The battle began with a ferocity that took everyone by surprise. The Krill were ruthless, their weapons cutting through the air with devastating precision. But the humans and Zoralians fought back with everything they had, their advanced technology and newly acquired skills giving them a fighting chance. Sarah led her squadron into the fray, her heart pounding with adrenaline. The sky was a chaotic swirl of fire and smoke, the sounds of explosions and gunfire ringing in her ears. She fired her energy rifle, taking down Krill soldiers with deadly accuracy. Zorak fought alongside her, his movements swift and fluid. The Zoralians were formidable warriors, their combat skills honed by years of fighting the Krill. Together they pushed forward, determined to drive the invaders back. The battle raged on for hours, the tide shifting back and forth. Both sides suffered heavy losses, the ground littered with the fallen. But despite the odds, the humans and Zoralians refused to give up. As the sun began to set, casting a blood-red glow over the battlefield, a sense of hope began to stir. The Krill were faltering, their forces weakening. Sarah could see it in their eyes, the fear, the realization that they might not win. "Keep pushing!" she shouted to her troops. "We've got them on the ropes!" With a renewed surge of energy, they pressed forward, their determination unwavering. The Krill were forced to retreat, their ships lifting off and disappearing into the sky. Cheers erupted from the soldiers as the last of the invaders fled, their victory hard-won and bittersweet. Sarah stood amidst the wreckage, her body aching and her heart heavy. They had won the battle, but the cost had been high. So many lives lost, so much destruction. But there was also a sense of pride and relief. They had faced the unimaginable and emerged victorious. Zorak approached her, his expression somber. "We did it, Captain Mitchell. We drove them back." Sarah nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Yes, but we can't let our guard down. They'll be back. We need to be ready." Zorak placed a hand on her shoulder. "We will be. Together we will face whatever comes next." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a final glow over the battlefield, Sarah felt a sense of hope. The future was uncertain, and the threat of the Krill still loomed. But with their new allies and their newfound strength, humanity had a fighting chance. And for now, that was enough. The aftermath of the battle against the Krill was both a time of mourning and a call to action. The humans and Zoralians had managed to drive back the invaders, but they knew this victory was only temporary. The Krill would return, and next time they would be even more determined to conquer Earth. Captain Sarah Mitchell and her team were given the monumental task of preparing for the inevitable return of the Krill. The base was a hive of activity, with soldiers training rigorously, and engineers working around the clock to repair and upgrade the defenses. The collaboration between humans and Zoralians intensified, and a sense of unity began to form. One morning, as Sarah walked through the bustling command center, she was approached by General Thompson, a grizzled veteran with a stern demeanor. "Captain Mitchell, a word," he said, motioning for her to follow him. Sarah followed the general to his office, where he closed the door and turned to face her. "We've received intelligence that the Krill are regrouping and planning another attack," he said, his voice grave. "This time they're bringing reinforcements. We need to be ready." Sarah nodded, her resolve hardening. "What's the plan, sir?" "We've established a new strategic command," Thompson replied. "It's called Operation Sentinel. You and your team will be leading the charge. We need to fortify our defenses and develop new tactics to counter the Krill's advanced technology." Sarah's mind raced with the implications. "Understood, General. We'll start immediately." As she left the office, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. Operation Sentinel was their best hope of surviving the next wave. She gathered her team, including her trusted squad members and Zorak, to discuss their new mission. "We've got our work cut out for us," Sarah began, her voice steady and authoritative. "The Krill are regrouping, and they'll be back with even greater force. We need to fortify our defenses and come up with new strategies to combat their technology." Zorak stepped forward, his eyes filled with determination. "We've faced the Krill before and lived to tell the tale. We can do it again. We just need to be smarter and more prepared." Rylan, one of Sarah's top snipers, spoke up. "What about our snipers? We had a significant impact last time. We need to enhance our capabilities." Sarah nodded. "Agreed. We'll start by upgrading our sniper rifles with Zoralian tech. Zorak, can you and your team assist with that?" "Of course," Zorak replied. "We have advanced optics and energy modules that can be integrated into your weapons. It will significantly increase their range and accuracy." As the days turned into weeks, the preparations for Operation Sentinel intensified. The base became a fortress, with fortified bunkers and advanced defense systems. Training sessions were relentless, with soldiers honing their skills and learning to work seamlessly with their Zoralian allies. Sarah spent long hours in the command center, poring over battle plans and coordinating efforts. She was constantly in contact with other military bases around the world, ensuring a unified global defense strategy. The pressure was immense, but Sarah thrived under it. She knew that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. One evening, as she was reviewing tactical reports, Zorak approached her. "Captain Mitchell, may I have a word?" Sarah looked up from her screen, noting the seriousness in his expression. "Of course, Zorak. What's on your mind?" "We've detected some unusual activity on the outskirts of the Krill's territory," Zorak said, showing her a holographic map. "It appears they're constructing a new type of weapon. We're not sure what it is, but it could pose a significant threat." Sarah studied the map, her brow furrowing. "We need to find out what they're up to. Can we send a reconnaissance team?" "It's risky, but I believe it's necessary," Zorak replied. "I'll volunteer to lead the mission." Sarah shook her head. "No, Zorak. You're too valuable here. I'll lead the recon team myself." Zorak looked at her, his expression one of concern and respect. "Very well, Captain. But be careful. The Krill are unpredictable." With the decision made, Sarah assembled a small team of elite soldiers, including Rylan and another skilled sniper, Corporal Diaz. They would infiltrate the Krill territory, gather intelligence, and return before the enemy realized they were there. The night before the mission, Sarah found herself unable to sleep. She walked through the base, her mind racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. As she passed the training grounds, she saw Rylan practicing his marksmanship. "Couldn't sleep either, huh?" she said, approaching him. Rylan lowered his rifle and turned to face her. "Nope. Too much on my mind. I've been thinking about this mission. It's going to be dangerous." Sarah nodded. "I know, but we have to do this. If the Krill are building a new weapon, we need to know what it is and how to stop it." Rylan's expression hardened. "We'll make it back, Captain. I promise." Sarah smiled faintly. "I know we will, Rylan. We've faced worse, and we've come out stronger. We'll get through this too." The next day, under the cover of darkness, the recon team set out on their mission. They traveled through rugged terrain, using every ounce of their training to stay undetected. The Krill territory was heavily guarded, with patrols and surveillance drones everywhere. After hours of careful navigation, they reached the outskirts of the Krill base. Sarah signaled for the team to halt and set up a perimeter. Using advanced optics, they scanned the area, taking note of the defenses and the layout of the base. "There," Rylan whispered, pointing to a large structure in the center of the base. "That's gotta be it." Sarah nodded. "Agreed. We need to get closer and get a better look." They moved stealthily through the shadows, inching closer to the structure. As they approached, they could see Krill soldiers working on a massive, complex machine. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, with glowing energy conduits and ominous weaponry. "What the hell is that?" Diaz muttered. "I don't know, but it can't be good," Sarah replied. "We need to get some images and get out of here." Using their high-tech equipment, they captured detailed images of the weapon and its components. Sarah transmitted the data back to the base, where analysts would begin deciphering its purpose and potential threat. Just as they were about to retreat, a patrol of Krill soldiers appeared, heading straight for their position. Sarah's heart raced. They had been spotted. "Move now!" she ordered, leading the team away from the structure. They sprinted through the shadows, evading the patrols and making their way back to their extraction point. The sound of gunfire echoed through the night as the Krill gave chase. Sarah and her team returned fire, using their advanced rifles to take down their pursuers. It was a tense and chaotic escape, but they managed to reach the extraction point just in time. As they were lifted into the air by the extraction helicopter, Sarah breathed a sigh of relief. They had made it. The mission was a success. Back at the base, the data they had gathered was analyzed in detail. The Krill's new weapon was a devastating energy cannon capable of obliterating entire cities. It was a game changer, and the humans and Zoralians knew they had to find a way to neutralize it. Sarah and her team were hailed as heroes for their bravery and resourcefulness. But there was no time to celebrate. The threat of the Krill was more dire than ever, and Operation Sentinel had to be accelerated. In the days that followed, new strategies were developed to counter the energy cannon. Engineers worked tirelessly to create countermeasures, while soldiers trained for the inevitable confrontation. The unity between humans and Zoralians grew stronger. their bond forged in the crucible of war. One evening, as Sarah stood on the watchtower, she felt a presence beside her. It was Zorak. "You did well, Captain," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "Your courage and leadership are an inspiration to us all." Sarah smiled, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Thank you, Zorak, but this is just the beginning. We have a long fight ahead of us." "Indeed," Zorak replied, "but I have no doubt that we will prevail. Together, we are stronger than the Krill could ever imagine." As the sun set over the mountains, casting a golden glow over the base, Sarah felt a sense of hope and determination. The road ahead was fraught with danger, but they were ready. They would face the Krill head-on, with courage and unity, and they would fight for the survival of their planet. The next chapter in the battle for Earth was about to begin, and Sarah was ready to lead her team into the fray. The stakes were higher than ever, but she knew they had the strength and resolve to overcome any obstacle. Together, they would stand against the darkness and emerge victorious. The base was a flurry of activity as preparations for the next confrontation with the Krill continued. Engineers worked around the clock, enhancing defenses and upgrading weapons with Zoralian technology. Soldiers trained relentlessly, honing their skills and learning new tactics. The stakes were higher than ever, and there was no room for error. Captain Sarah Mitchell was in the command center, surrounded by maps, charts, and tactical displays. She and her team were working on the final plans for the upcoming battle. The data they had gathered from the recon mission had been invaluable, revealing the full extent of the Krill's new weapon and their strategy. "All right, everyone, let's go over the plan one more time," Sarah said, addressing her team. "We've identified the key targets, the energy cannon and the command center. Our primary objective is to disable the cannon before it can be fully operational. Secondary objective, neutralize their command center to disrupt their coordination." Lieutenant Rylan, now promoted due to his exemplary performance, nodded. "We've mapped out the enemy defenses. The approach won't be easy, but with the element of surprise and our new tech, we stand a good chance." Zorak stepped forward, his expression serious. "My team will handle the sabotage of the energy cannon. We'll use our knowledge of Krill technology to disable it from within. Captain Mitchell, your team will lead the assault on the command center." Sarah nodded. "Understood. We need to move fast and hit hard. Once we neutralize the cannon and the command center, we can push the Krill back and secure the area." As the meeting adjourned, Sarah took a moment to look around the room. Her team was composed of some of the best soldiers and tacticians she had ever worked with. There was a palpable sense of determination in the air, a shared resolve to protect their planet at all costs. Later that evening, Sarah found herself in the armory, checking and double-checking her gear. She was joined by Corporal Diaz, who was inspecting his sniper rifle. "Ready for this, Captain?" Diaz asked, his tone casual but his eyes intense. Sarah smiled faintly. "As ready as I'll ever be. We've trained for this, Diaz. We know what we're up against." Diaz nodded, his expression steely. "We'll give 'em hell." The following morning, the base was abuzz with final preparations. Soldiers geared up, loading their weapons and donning their armor. Vehicles were fueled and ready, and the air was filled with the hum of aircraft engines. It was a scene of organized chaos, a testament to the meticulous planning that had gone into Operation Sentinel. Sarah stood before her troops, her voice carrying over the sounds of the bustling base. "Today, we face an enemy that seeks to destroy everything we hold dear, but we will not back down. We will fight with every ounce of strength and courage we have. For our families, for our friends, for our planet, we will prevail." A cheer went up from the soldiers, their resolve unwavering. Sarah felt a surge of pride. These were the people she would fight alongside, the people she would trust with her life. They were ready. The assault began at dawn. The first wave of aircraft took to the skies, carrying troops and supplies to the front lines. Sarah's team was among them, their mission clear and their spirits high. As they approached the Krill's territory, the tension in the air was palpable. "ETA to drop zone, 5 minutes," the pilot announced over the intercom. Sarah checked her weapon one last time and turned to her team. Remember the plan. Stick together, watch each other's backs, and stay focused. We'll get through this." The aircraft touched down, and the soldiers disembarked quickly, moving with practiced efficiency. They made their way through the rugged terrain, using the cover of the forest to stay hidden. The Krill base loomed ahead, a formidable fortress of steel and stone. "Rylan, take point," Sarah ordered, her voice low but firm. "Diaz, cover our flank." They moved silently, their training and discipline evident in every step. As they approached the base, they could see Krill soldiers patrolling the perimeter. Sarah signaled for the team to halt and crouched behind a boulder, scanning the area. "We need to take out those guards quietly," she whispered. "Rylan, you're up." Rylan nodded and moved into position, his sniper rifle at the ready. He took a deep breath, steadying his aim, and squeezed the trigger. The first guard dropped silently, followed by the second. The path was clear. "Move in," Sarah ordered, and the team advanced swiftly, taking advantage of the momentary lull in the enemy's defenses. Hay reached the outer wall of the base and began setting up their breaching charges. Sarah's heart pounded as they waited for the signal. The success of the mission hinged on their ability to get inside and disable the energy cannon before it could be used against them. "Charges set," Diaz reported, his voice steady. "Ready to breach on your command, Captain." Sarah took a deep breath and nodded. "Do it." The charges exploded, sending a shockwave through the air. The team moved in quickly, weapons raised and ready. The interior of the base was a maze of corridors and chambers, but they had studied the layout extensively and knew exactly where to go. "Zorak, lead your team to the cannon," Sarah instructed. "We'll head for the command center." Zorak nodded. "Good luck, Captain." Sarah and her team moved with precision, taking down any Krill soldiers they encountered. The element of surprise was on their side, but they knew it wouldn't last long. They reached the command center and prepared to breach the doors. "On my mark," Sarah said, her voice calm and commanding. 3, 2, 1, breach!" They stormed into the command center, catching the Krill officers off guard. A fierce firefight ensued, but the humans had the advantage of surprise and superior tactics. Within minutes, the command center was secured. "Command center is ours," Sarah reported over the radio. "How's it going with the cannon, Zorak?" "We've encountered heavy resistance," Zorak replied, his voice strained. "But we're making progress. The cannon will be disabled shortly." Sarah's mind raced. They needed to hold the command center and ensure Zorak's team succeeded. She quickly set up defensive positions and coordinated with her team to repel any Krill reinforcements. Minutes felt like hours as they held their ground, the sounds of battle echoing through the corridors. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, but she remained focused, her mind sharp and her resolve unyielding. "Captain, we've done it!" Zorak's voice came through the radio, filled with triumph. "The cannon is disabled!" A wave of relief washed over Sarah. "Good work, Zorak. Everyone fall back to the extraction point. Let's get out of here." They moved quickly, making their way through the labyrinthine base and fending off any remaining Krill forces. As they reached the extraction point, Sarah felt a sense of exhilaration. They had accomplished their mission and dealt a significant blow to the Krill. The extraction helicopter arrived, and the team boarded swiftly. As they lifted off, Sarah looked down at the Krill base, now in disarray. They had struck a critical blow, but the war was far from over. Back at the base, they were greeted with cheers and applause. The success of the mission had boosted morale and given them a much-needed victory. But Sarah knew there was still much work to be done. In the days that followed, they analyzed the data and prepared for the next phase of the operation. The Krill were relentless, and they knew another attack was imminent. But with their new knowledge and fortified defenses, they were ready to face whatever came next. One evening, as Sarah stood on the watchtower, she was joined by General Thompson. He looked out at the horizon, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You've done well, Captain," he said, his voice filled with respect. "Your leadership and bravery have made all the difference." Sarah nodded, her gaze steady. "Thank you, sir. But we couldn't have done it without the entire team. We've all given everything we have to this fight." Thompson smiled faintly. And we'll keep giving. The Krill won't stop, but neither will we. We'll defend our planet to the last. As the sun set over the mountains, casting a warm glow over the base, Sarah felt a sense of hope and determination. They had faced incredible odds and emerged victorious. The road ahead was still fraught with danger, but they were ready. Together they would stand against the darkness, fight for their survival, and protect their home. The battle for Earth was far from over, but with unity, courage, and resilience, they would prevail. The success of the mission to disable the Krill's energy cannon marked a turning point in the war, but it also revealed the need for further cooperation and innovation. The humans and Xeralians had shown they could work together effectively, but the Krill's relentless attacks required even more advanced strategies and technology. In the wake of the victory, Captain Sarah Mitchell and her team were given a new task: to forge alliances with other alien species who had also faced the Krill. The hope was to create a united front, pooling resources and knowledge to combat the common enemy. One morning, as the base buzzed with activity, Sarah was called to a briefing with General Thompson and Zorak. The meeting took place in a secure conference room, equipped with advanced holographic displays and communication systems. "Captain Mitchell, Zorak," Thompson began, his tone serious but hopeful. "We've received word from the Galactic Council. Several species have expressed interest in forming an alliance against the Krill. Your mission is to travel to their respective planets and negotiate terms of cooperation." Zorak nodded. "This is a significant opportunity. The more allies we have, the stronger our chances of defeating the Krill. We must approach this with diplomacy and mutual respect." Sarah agreed. "Understood, sir. We'll do whatever it takes to secure these alliances." Thompson handed them a dossier with detailed information on the planets and species they would be visiting. "You'll start with the Arcturians. They have advanced technology and a formidable military. Convincing them to join us will be crucial." As Sarah and Zorak prepared for their journey, they were joined by a small team of diplomats and security personnel. The mission required a delicate balance of negotiation skills and readiness for any potential threats. Their first destination was Arcturus, a planet known for its icy landscapes and high-tech cities. The Arcturians were a proud and advanced species, with a reputation for both their scientific achievements and their fierce independence. As their spacecraft approached the planet, Sarah marveled at the sight. The cities were gleaming towers of metal and glass, rising out of the frozen terrain like beacons of light. They landed at the main spaceport, where they were greeted by a delegation of Arcturian officials. "Welcome to Arcturus," said the leader of the delegation, a tall Arcturian with silver skin and piercing blue eyes. "I am High Chancellor Alora. We have been expecting you." Sarah and Zorak exchanged respectful bows. "Thank you for receiving us, Chancellor Alora," Sarah said. "We come in peace, seeking to form an alliance against the Krill. Their threat is growing, and we believe that together we can stand a better chance of defeating them." Alora's eyes narrowed slightly. "The Krill are indeed a menace. They have attacked our outlying colonies and caused significant damage, but an alliance is a serious commitment. What assurances can you offer that this cooperation will be mutually beneficial?" Zorak stepped forward. "We bring knowledge of Krill technology and tactics, as well as our own advanced weaponry and defense systems. We also offer our unwavering commitment to stand by your side in this fight. Together, we can share resources and strategies to overcome this threat." The negotiations continued for several hours, with both sides discussing terms and sharing information. The Arcturians were cautious, but intrigued by the potential benefits of the alliance. They agreed to a provisional partnership, pending further discussions and demonstrations of trust. As they departed Arcturus, Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment. It was a small but significant step towards building a united front against the Krill. Their next destination was the planet Xanthia, home to a species known for their intelligence and strategic prowess. The journey to Xanthia was long, giving Sarah and Zorak time to reflect on their mission. They discussed their approach and strategized on how best to present their case to the Xanthians. "Xanthia is known for its scholars and tacticians," Zorak said. "We must appeal to their sense of logic and their desire for knowledge. If we can present a compelling argument, they will see the value in joining us. When they arrived on Xanthia, they were struck by the planet's lush green landscapes and the intricate architecture of its cities. The Xanthians were a humanoid species with greenish skin and large, expressive eyes. They were known for their wisdom and analytical minds. They were welcomed by the Xanthian Council, a group of elder statesmen and scholars who governed the planet. The leader of the council, Elder Thalrin, greeted them warmly. "Welcome to Xanthia," Elder Thalrin said, his voice calm and measured. "We have heard of your struggle against the Krill. We are eager to learn more and to understand how we might assist." Sarah and Zorak presented their case, sharing detailed reports on Krill attacks and the strategies they had employed. They emphasized the importance of unity and the potential for mutual benefits in technology and knowledge. The Xanthians listened intently, their analytical minds processing the information. After a lengthy discussion, they agreed to join the alliance, impressed by the thoroughness and sincerity of the humans and Zoralians. With 2 new allies, the mission was off to a promising start. Sarah and Zorak continued their journey, visiting several other planets and forging alliances with species who had also faced the Krill's wrath. Each new partnership strengthened their united front and brought them closer to their goal. Back on Earth, the preparations continued in earnest. The newly formed alliance brought a wealth of knowledge and resources, allowing for significant advancements in defense technology and strategy. The human and Zoralian forces trained alongside their new allies, learning from each other and growing stronger together. One evening, as Sarah walked through the bustling base, she felt a sense of hope and determination. They were no longer fighting alone. They had allies, advanced technology, and a shared purpose. The Krill's next attack would be met with a formidable defense. General Thompson called a meeting to discuss the next steps. The room was filled with representatives from the various allied species, their presence a testament to the growing strength of their coalition. "Ladies and gentlemen," Thompson began, his voice filled with conviction, "we have made significant progress, but the Krill are relentless. Our intelligence indicates that they are preparing for a massive assault. We must be ready." Zorak spoke next, outlining the strategies they had developed in collaboration with their allies. "We will use a multi-layered defense approach, combining our advanced technologies and tactical knowledge. Our goal is to intercept and neutralize the Krill forces before they can reach Earth." Sarah added, "Our snipers and special forces will play a crucial role in targeting key Krill units and disrupting their command structure. We must strike quickly and decisively." The plan was set into motion, with each allied species contributing their unique strengths and expertise. The days leading up to the battle were filled with intense preparation and coordination. There was a sense of unity and determination, a shared resolve to protect their homes and their future. Finally, the day arrived. The Krill fleet appeared on the horizon, a massive armada of warships descending upon Earth. But this time, they were met with a united front, a coalition of species ready to defend their world. The battle was fierce and chaotic, with explosions lighting up the sky and the sounds of gunfire echoing through the air. Sarah led her team with unwavering resolve, taking down Krill soldiers with precision and skill. The Allied forces fought with a coordinated effort, each species playing to their strengths and supporting one another. Relan and Diaz provided cover from strategic vantage points, their sniper rifles taking out key targets and disrupting the Krill's advance. Zorak and his team used their advanced technology to disable enemy ships and defense systems. As the battle raged on, the tide began to turn. The Krill were unprepared for the sheer strength and coordination of the Allied forces. One by one, their ships were disabled or destroyed, their ground forces pushed back. Amidst the chaos, Sarah spotted the Krill commander, a towering figure clad in advanced armor. She knew that taking him down could be the key to breaking the Krill's resolve. "Rylan! Diaz! Cover me!" she shouted, charging towards the commander with her rifle at the ready. The Krill commander turned, his eyes locking onto Sarah with a look of recognition and fury. He raised his weapon, but Sarah was faster. She fired a precise shot, hitting a critical point in his armor. The commander staggered, but didn't fall. With a roar of defiance, the commander lunged at her, his weapon raised. Sarah ducked and rolled, firing another shot that struck his exposed side. The commander fell to his knees, his weapon clattering to the ground. Sarah approached cautiously, her rifle trained on him. "It's over," she said firmly. "You've lost." The commander's eyes blazed with hatred, but he knew he was defeated. With a final defiant glare, he slumped to the ground, defeated. The fall of the commander marked the turning point in the battle. The remaining Krill forces began to retreat, their will to fight shattered. Cheers erupted from the Allied forces as the last of the Krill ships disappeared into the sky. The battle was over. They had won. In the aftermath, there was a sense of relief and triumph. The Allied forces had come together, fought bravely, and emerged victorious. The threat of the Krill was not entirely eliminated, but they had dealt a significant blow and gained valuable time to prepare for future attacks. As they celebrated their hard-won victory, Sarah felt a deep sense of pride and hope. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, united by a common purpose. The road ahead was still uncertain, but they had proven that together they could overcome any challenge. The alliances they had forged would continue to grow, and their shared knowledge and technology would be used to protect and advance their civilizations. The battle for Earth was far from over, but with unity, courage, and resilience, they would face whatever came next. The future was theirs to shape, and they were ready to face it head-on. The victory against the Krill was celebrated across the Earth and its allied planets. While the battle had been hard-fought and costly, the triumph had galvanized a sense of unity and hope among the disparate species. For the first time, there was a real sense of possibility that the Krill could be defeated for good. Back at the Edgewood military base, the mood was one of cautious optimism. Repairs and upgrades were underway, with engineers working alongside scientists and technicians from various planets. The blending of different technologies and ideas created a synergy that was both innovative and inspiring. Captain Sarah Mitchell found herself in a rare moment of peace, walking through the base as she observed the ongoing efforts. The air was filled with the hum of machinery and the chatter of collaborative work. It was a sight that filled her with pride and a sense of accomplishment. "Captain Mitchell," a voice called out, breaking her reverie. It was Lieutenant Rylan, approaching with a relaxed smile. "Got a minute?" Sarah turned to face him, nodding. "Of course, Rylan. What's on your mind?" Rylan gestured towards the base's mess hall.
"I thought we could grab a coffee and catch up. It's been a while since we had a chance to just talk,"
Sarah agreed, following him into the mess hall. They settled at a table with their drinks, the atmosphere much more relaxed than it had been in recent months.
"It feels good to finally have some breathing room," Rylan said, taking a sip of his coffee. "For a while there, it felt like we were constantly on the edge." Sarah nodded, her expression thoughtful. "We've come a long way. The alliances we've built and the progress we've made are incredible. But we can't let our guard down. The Krill will be back." "True," Rylan replied, "but we're stronger now. We've proven that we can stand up to them and win. That counts for a lot." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Zorak, who joined them at the table. His presence was always a comfort, a reminder of the strong bond that had formed between the humans and Zoralians. "Captain Lieutenant," Zorak greeted them, his tone warm. "I wanted to share some news. The Galactic Council has decided to establish a permanent coalition to counter the Krill threat. Our alliance is now official and will be supported by all member planets." Sarah's eyes widened with surprise and excitement. "That's fantastic news, Zorak. It will make a huge difference in our efforts." Zorak nodded. "Indeed. The Council recognizes the importance of unity in facing such a formidable enemy. This coalition will ensure that we continue to share resources, technology, and intelligence." As the days passed, the coalition began to take shape. Representatives from each planet met regularly to discuss strategies and coordinate their efforts. New technologies were developed, and training programs were established to ensure that all members were prepared for the next encounter with the Krill. Sarah was heavily involved in these efforts, her leadership and experience making her an invaluable asset. She worked closely with Zorak and other leaders, forging strong relationships and fostering a spirit of collaboration. One evening, as she reviewed the latest reports in her quarters, There was a knock at her door. She looked up to see Corporal Diaz standing there, a hesitant smile on his face. "Captain, do you have a moment?" he asked. "Of course, Diaz. Come in," she replied, setting aside her work. Diaz entered, his expression serious. "I've been thinking a lot about what we've accomplished and what still lies ahead. I wanted to thank you for your leadership and for always looking out for us. It's made all the difference." Sarah felt a wave of gratitude. "Thank you, Diaz. But it's been a team effort. Everyone has played a crucial role, including you. We're in this together." Diaz nodded, a look of determination in his eyes. "We are, and we're going to keep fighting until the Krill are no longer a threat." In the weeks that followed, the Coalition's efforts continued to strengthen. Joint military exercises were conducted, and new defensive measures were implemented. The base was fortified with cutting-edge technology, making it a formidable stronghold. Amidst all the preparations, there were moments of personal connection and growth. Sarah found herself bonding with her team in new ways, sharing stories and experiences that deepened their sense of camaraderie. One afternoon, as they took a break from training, Sarah and her team gathered around a campfire outside the base. The sky was clear, the stars twinkling above them. "You know," Ryland said, gazing up at the sky, "when I first joined the military, I never imagined we'd be fighting alongside aliens to save our planet." Diaz chuckled. "Yeah, it's been a wild ride, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. We've made history." Zorak, who had joined them by the fire, smiled. "And we will continue to make history. The bonds we've forged here are unbreakable. Together, we will protect our worlds and ensure a future of peace and prosperity." Sarah looked around at her team, feeling a deep sense of pride and hope. They had come so far and achieved so much. The future was still uncertain, but they faced it with courage and unity. As the night wore on, they shared stories and laughter, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they were not alone in this fight. They had allies, friends, and a common goal that bound them together. In the quiet moments, Sarah allowed herself to reflect on her journey. She had faced incredible challenges and made difficult decisions, but through it all, she had never lost sight of her mission. The fight against the Krill was far from over, but she knew they were ready for whatever came next. As the fire crackled and the stars shone brightly above, Sarah felt a renewed sense of determination. The future was theirs to shape, and they would face it head-on, united and strong. Together, they would stand against the darkness and protect their home. The battle for Earth and the galaxy was far from over, but with unity, courage, and resilience, they would prevail. The road ahead was challenging, but they were ready to meet it with unwavering resolve. The future was bright, and they were determined to forge a path to victory. In the end, it was their unity and determination that would make all the difference. They had proven that together, they could overcome any challenge and build a better future for all. The fight against the Krill was just one part of their journey, and with each victory they grew stronger and more united. As they faced the dawn of a new day, Sarah and her team knew that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. They had each other, their allies, and a shared vision of a future free from the threat of the Krill. And with that, they were ready to face the challenges and opportunities that awaited them.